There's a powerful scene in the Penguin episode 1 titled After Hours, where the penguin removes his shoes, revealing his deformed foot. This moment explains why he walks the way he does, and it's incredibly impactful. We already know that the penguin is a psychologically damaged character. He's impulsive and far from sane, but just imagine the pain of having to walk on a foot like that every single day. It's excruciating and it shapes his personality. I'm not saying that his entire character hinges on this pain, he's much more than that. However, this detail adds depth to his psychological and mental state. And there's a lot of little moments like that throughout the episode, which makes this episode one of the best pilots I've ever seen. The episode is full of nuances that elevate the character beyond just a comic book villain. The fact that it's 1 hour and 5 minutes long and still manages to pack so much story into that time without stretching it into 2 or 3 episodes is very impressive. Other shows might have turned what we got in this episode into an entire season, but The Penguin blew my mind right from the start. The hype is real. The Penguin Season 1 Episode 1 is a feat in comic book adaptations, performances, and television. I'm not exaggerating, guys. After watching this episode, I was in shock at how good it was. There will be spoilers ahead, so I would recommend if you haven't seen the episode, treat yourself to it. You won't be disappointed.
See what I got on?
Dad's ring. Nice.
Wasn't always his. Used to be Salvatore's.
Salvatore Maroni?
He wore Sal's ring as a trophy. The ultimate fuck you. This is power, right?
Let's get into the story of this episode. We know that Carmine Falcone was assassinated in The Batman, creating a power vacuum in Gotham City. Alberto Falcone, his heir, is expected to take control. However, in the very first scene, we see the penguin shoot Alberto, setting the tone for the episode beautifully. I loved how the show portrayed the difficulty of disposing of the body of such an important figure. It's not something that happens in a minute, it's a painstaking process, and the show doesn't shy away from showing that. You just can't make someone disappear that easily, something we have seen in so many other shows. The penguin also encounters a character named Victor, who is much younger and clearly in need of help. Victor goes along with the penguin because he knows that if he doesn't, the penguin will probably kill him. By the end of this episode, they've developed an interesting chemistry. I'm not sure what will happen to Victor by the end of the season. He might not survive in such a brutal climate and environment, but anything can happen, and that's what I love about the dynamic between the characters. Speaking of dynamics, the relationship between the penguin and Sofia Falcone, Alberto's sister, is incredible. They share a lot of scenes together, and I was surprised by the quality of the acting and dialogue. Every scene with just the two of them talking is captivating and full of tension. As the episode progresses, Sofia becomes increasingly suspicious that the penguin is responsible for her brother's disappearance. The tension builds until Sofia finally confronts the penguin in the end. It almost seems like the penguin is going to confess. But then we learn that the penguin actually sent Victor to deal with Alberto's body. Victor cuts off Alberto's finger, which had the ring from another family, the Maronis, effectively framing both the families against each other. This move creates enemies on two fronts: the existing Falcone family, who rules Gotham, and the Maronis, a family that used to be much more important. Again, the amount of story in this episode could easily fill an entire season. The pacing is fast, but it doesn't feel rushed. It's been a while since a pilot episode has felt this satisfying. Now, I'm not one of those House of the Dragon Season 2 haters, but when you compare the storytelling in both the shows, the Penguin Season 1 Episode 1 stands out as incredible. I actually watched Agatha Season 1 Episode 1 and 2 before the Penguin, and thank God for that, because the Penguin is just a far better show. Now, I did not hate Agatha, I liked it, but when you put two shows side by side, there's a clear gap in quality. There are just so many nuances in this episode. For example, the scene where the penguin visits his mother and suggests they leave town, but she insists he stays and fights. She believes it's time for him to take over Gotham. Despite being brutal, sadistic, and mentally unhinged, the penguin wants power, and for some reason, you end up rooting for him. It's a story about bad people with no protagonist, but somehow you get attached to the penguin. Colin Farrell's performance is mesmerizing. It's Emmy worthy. He completely disappears into the role, and I can't wait for episode 2. I've seen some great pilot episodes from one of the greatest shows of all time, whether it's Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, and more, but the Penguin episode 1 ranks among the best of them. It's been a while since the show's first episode has impressed me this much. Even the best TV shows often don't have pilots this strong. If I had to rate it, I'd give it a 10 out of 10 easily. The show has set a very high bar, and I trust HBO and the creators to maintain this momentum throughout the season. I hope we get many more seasons of The Penguin. Colin Farrell, please keep getting into that makeup chair. I want to see as much of you as possible in this role. I was glued to the screen from start to finish. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe. And many thanks for watching.